Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a weekly television show called Team Chicago Challenge. My website is teamchicago.tv. My email is teamdan45@gmail.com. We are at the Champaign County Fair to be racing my Triumph motorcycle, but this clip here, I'm going to show you how I set the timing on a Triumph engine. If you want to understand how engines work, top dead center, setting the timing, setting the points to open, to fire the spark plug before top dead center, all that information I'm going to try to explain back home. I'm going to show you a little bit of the racing action from the fairgrounds here, but this show is going to be about tuning this motor because I think everybody should have a better understanding of internal combustion engines. Don't forget my website, teamchicago.tv. My email is teamdan45@gmail.com. teamdan45@gmail.com. This is a fairground half mile, and this is a cushion track, meaning it is a limestone loose track. This is the kind of racetrack that I love. My Triumph seems to be running pretty good. The track's a little rough. Let's look at the track as I go around. Heading into turn 3 and 4. I'm going up high by the hay bales. And the idea is to square the corner off and come off at the bottom of the track. The suspension on my Triumph is set pretty good. I've got the proper balance front to back. I've set the sag front and back suspension. The bike rides properly. As you can see, it takes a good amount of strength to ride a cushion track because I'm coming in high and trying to square off the corner and heading across those ruts. The bike is running great. I took the time to set the timing properly. This Triumph has an ARD mag. It's an old Magneto. It has no advance set in it. So we set it at 38 degrees before top dead center. Back at the Team Chicago garage, we're going to show you how to properly set the timing on this engine. Remember, the world goes round because of the internal combustion engine, and I feel everybody should have some good knowledge on how an engine works. So let's head back to the garage and set the timing on this Triumph motorcycle. Now this motorcycle is removed the primary cover. You will see it has a belt drive. The standard Triumph comes with a chain drive. It came with either a 2-row or a 3-row chain on these Triumph motorcycles. I converted it probably 35 years ago to the belt drive. So you got your drive sprocket off the end of the crank, and that delivers power to the clutch. Now I took a Dunstall timing wheel and I reduced it by 1/4. So by reducing it, I am going to be able to take this paper timing wheel and glue it onto the drive sprocket. Got a belt retaining plate. You can see I have scribed on this plate, marking it 5 degrees. Remember, a full circle is 360 degrees. I broke it down by 5 degrees. But with a proper degree wheel, it's broken down by individual degrees. And now with a dial indicator, I am looking for top dead center. Top dead center is when your piston is all the way at the top of the cylinder. I should point out though that when the piston is at the top of the cylinder, there is a little margin of 2 or 3 or 4 degrees before the piston descends back in the cylinder. So when you bring the piston up, the piston is ascending in the cylinder, and once you get past top dead center, then the piston is descending. So you have to go back and forth and try to figure out exactly what the center between the ascension and the descension of the piston. And that particular point is top dead center. So now I've got a pointer, which I made out of a bicycle spoke, pointing at my crank gear. I'm going to glue this paper degree wheel and set it at 0. So now we have top dead center at 0. And once you know where top dead center is, then you can set the timing. On this motorcycle, I have to set the timing so that the spark plug fires at 38 degrees before top dead center. Now as I check one more time using the degree wheel to find top dead center again, let me explain about firing at 38 degrees before top dead center. If the spark plug fired at top dead center, the engine would make no horsepower. With the piston rising and making compression, that is the point where you want the spark plug to fire to create the explosion. So part of the explosion and the compression is then what drives the piston down in the cylinder. The more fuel that is added in the cylinder when you turn the throttle on, the greater the explosion. The greater the explosion, the greater the speed of the piston being forced down and turning the engine over. I hope you understand that. But we can see we have now located top dead center. Now let me point out on these Triumph motorcycles, in the back of the engine, there is a hole where you can use a tool, a pointer, and slip it in the back of the engine, and on the crankshaft itself, there's a notch. And that notch is at top dead center. But you cannot get an accurate reading just using that notch because there's a play in the tool and the notch in the crank. You can be close, but you could be 3 to 4 to 5 degrees off using the mark in the crank and using this tool. So to get the timing accurate, I am using the dial indicator. As I remove the cap on my Magneto. Now the Magneto is an old system to make spark, going all the way back to the beginning of the auto industry and internal combustion engines. The Magneto makes spark. The Magneto has its own generator, its own coil to generate electricity. All of these components are 60 to 70 years old. So I have to be very careful. Now I'm going to put the rotor in place on this setup, this Fairbanks Magneto setup, to distribute the spark from one cylinder to the other. The rotor spins. I should point out that everything is spinning in the Magneto at half the speed of the crankshaft. I am using a very thin piece of paper in the points to show when the points open. The magneto will generate electricity and create a magnetic field. When the points open, that field collapses and a spark is sent to the spark plug. So what I am looking for is timing the point where the points open, that particular moment when the points open should be at 38 degrees before top dead center. On the other side of the engine, we see this ARD Magneto cover for the Triumph. 2 gears, the same size, using a belt drive. This gear is connected to the exhaust cam. That gear turns at half the speed of the engine. So I am going to set the timing. I have a bolt holding the gear to the cam, and then there's 2 set screws that I'll use a small Allen to loosen the gear so that I can then set the gear. Remember, this engine turning at 6,000 RPM, the piston is going up and down 100 times per second. And you want 50 sparks per second in this 4-stroke engine. So now that I have loosened the gear, set screws, I can go and time this motorcycle. I've got the paper in the points. I have the engine set at 38 degrees before top dead center. Now by turning this gear that's connected to the exhaust cam, at the exact second, or when I can feel the paper releasing, that is when the points are separating and spark will be sent to the spark plug. So now I have determined what 38 degrees is, and I am now tightening the 2 set screws, and then I'm setting this bolt, torquing it to approximately 10 foot-pounds. And now I am checking. I'm backing the engine up. You can see the paper is tight in the points. As I bring the engine towards 38 degrees before top dead center, the paper will release. And now I'm taking a closer look. I am setting at 38 degrees before top dead center. Now let's check this one more time. I bring the engine forward to 38 degrees, and the paper loosens up slightly. The bike's running great, and now it's time for the heat race. We are racing with the Central Illinois Motorcycle Club, Champaign County Fair, Wednesday night. Everybody races up to the line. They don't really leave me any space. I probably should have went down on the inside, but I'm gonna squeeze in here.
Watch the flag, man. Yeah, don't get such a good start. Go up high. Try to square the corner. Get on the gas. That is the key to flat track racing. You have to get on the gas if you want to do well. For more information on the AMA, American Motorcyclists Association, it's AmericanMotorcyclists.com. For District 17, it's www.amadistrict17 to get more information about racing in Illinois. To contact me, it's teamdan45@gmail.com and search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing for great motorcycle racing action.